Apparently, choosing the right tablet for a convenient workflow could be a hard decision to make, especially when Apple alone has a wide range of iPads to choose from. Now, I personally think the best options to choose from is between the iPad mini and the iPad Air. They are both very similar in performance. What really sets them apart is the size and the $100 difference in price. I actually use both of them, but for different use cases, and it honestly depends on what you have going on. Now, I need you guys to understand that you don't need two iPads. I just happen to have both of them because I reviewed tech and I thought it was cool to make a comparison video, so yeah. Also, my units are the previous generations, but trust me, they work the exact same way as the latest ones, so it doesn't matter which one you're going for. Now, I did mention earlier that both the iPad Air and the iPad mini are similar in performance, which some people might disagree with based on the specs on paper, but I'm talking based on my own real-world experience with these devices, and I can confidently say that there are no actual difference in performance. On one side, I have the 11-inch M2 iPad Air with 128GB of internal SSD, which is the base model. It's the device I pick up for note-taking and handling my school-related tasks while reading course materials or browsing the web. The display is relatively big enough for multitasking and navigating between all productivity apps like GoodNotes, Adobe Acrobat, and Google Chrome, and it has been holding up pretty well. On the flip side, I have got the iPad mini, the smaller, more compatible option, but still surprisingly powerful. Mine is the 6th generation, and despite its smaller screen, it's my go-to for casual and professional use. I mostly use it for reading contracts, signing agreements, checking emails, and organizing all my projects and daily tasks on the go. The size makes it super easy to carry around, and it doesn't feel like a overkill when I just want to get quick things done. Now, to get the most out of these devices, I have been using the Dynamic Folio case from Moft, a brand I am proud to partner with for this video. The Dynamic Folio case is a super lightweight accessory that makes it easy to work with my iPad across different scenarios. It comes in this slim and versatile design that smoothly transitions between different forms and viewing angles. Personally, I switch it up depending on what I'm doing, whether it's reading, writing, watching content, or multitasking. There are 4 main modes I have found useful with the Dynamic Folio, and my favorite is the floating creation mode. If you do anything creative on your iPad, you're gonna love this setup. It elevates the iPad just enough to make drawing, or in my case photo editing, a lot more comfortable. I even use this mode when I'm casually reading or watching videos. It's genuinely convenient and feels natural to use. The best part is I can easily transition to the floating theater mode, which I mostly rely on when I'm studying or watching tutorials. Most folio cases usually keep the iPad flat on the desk, but this one elevates the display, which in my opinion makes it way more visible and ergonomic. One of the ways I use the iPad Air is as a sidecar display with my MacBook, and this mode makes it feel more useful when multitasking. The iPad mini is an amazing reading device. It's small, compact, fits in one hand, and I use the Dynamic Folio reading mode when reading long text on the desk. This will also be great for vertical video calls, especially since the iPad mini's front camera is in a vertical spot. Now, another mode that took me by surprise is the dual screen mode, which makes it easy to attach your phone to the iPad. It's a very creative way to use iPad with a smartphone at the same time. Say for example, you're into drawing and you need to use your phone as a reference for image. This can really come in clutch. It's a very simple yet functional setup that can contribute to both productivity and creativity, and the crazy part is there are 23 different angles that the Dynamic Folio case can be used, all while staying light and minimal. It gives you the flexibility to do simple things like placing the iPad on your lap without any feel of wobble, and you can then move around in this sleek form if you need to brainstorm something. I just feel like it's very convenient and creative. You can also opt for the quick release pencil holder to keep your stylus pen secured. It's very easy to set up and attaches magnetically to the folio case, creating a smooth access to the pencil when needed. Whether you are into drawing, reading, note-taking, or just a creative in general, the Moft Dynamic Folio case is the right accessory to elevate your iPad setup. I would leave a link with a discount code in the description down below, so feel free to check it out, and a huge thanks to Moft for making this video possible. Now, the biggest difference between the iPad Air and the iPad mini is obviously the size, and that's really the main factor that would help you decide which one makes more sense for you. The iPad Air comes at 11 inches while the iPad mini is 8.3 inches, and that changes everything, not in terms of performance but how you actually use them. Design wise, they look almost the same, but the larger size of the Air means you can pair it with accessories that makes it feel like a mini laptop. It supports external keyboards and mice, and you've got options like the iPad Magic Keyboard, which really elevates the whole setup. Photoshop. Now technically you can actually do the same with the iPad mini, but honestly it just doesn't make sense. The mini feels more like a self-contained device. Pair it with a Folio case and a stylus, you should be good to go. And with just that, you can really do everything the iPad mini is made for. Typing on the 8.3-inch screen is actually pretty convenient. You can use both hands to knock out emails, fill out forms, or type short notes without the need of an external keyboard. iPad Air on the other hand is just too wide and not as comfortable when typing on the screen. You can use the one-handed mode feature to get around it, but it's still not as convenient. It makes way more sense to use an external keyboard if you plan to type a lot. I don't know, I just think that's something to consider, because with the iPad Air, you'll probably end up spending more on accessories to really unlock its potential. But with the iPad mini, it keeps things simple. Just the Apple Pencil and the Folio case, you're all set. Now I personally use the iPad Air for just note taking, so I don't have to spend money on these accessories, but I also use it as an extra monitor with my MacBook for multitasking when I'm in a coffee shop or at school. This is something I can't do with the iPad mini because it's just not practical. It's too tiny to work on as an external display. Viewing text or browsing like it's a regular screen becomes a struggle. But with the iPad Air, the 11-inch display contributes to multitasking, which makes it easy for me to get work done from anywhere. This will be a big deal for people who are used to a bigger display or even a dual setup display. I can edit videos conveniently with the 14-inch display from my MacBook while browsing the web for research or navigating Finder for video assets. Now, size isn't everything. Display quality also plays a big role, especially if you are into watching content, editing photos, or reading for long periods. The good news is they both have identical display quality, so you really can't go wrong with either one. Both feature the liquid retina display that gets bright up to 500 nits with similar resolutions. So no matter what the case may be, the experience will be nearly identical. The image quality on both devices are clear, sharp, and vibrant, with amazing contrast when consuming media. And the colors are accurate, which is clutch for photo work in apps like Photoshop and Lightroom. Both displays are still at 60Hz, which sounds low but honestly feels smooth when scrolling and navigating apps. Now when it comes to gaming, this is another area where they slightly differ. Performance wise, I get pretty much the same result on both, but personally I enjoy gaming more on the iPad mini. It feels like mobile gaming but with an handheld console vibe. Compact, immersive, and easy to use with just the display. The iPad Air on the other hand usually needs a keyboard and a mouse or even a controller to get the most out of games. Now don't get me wrong, the iPad Air also feels great with the on-screen control, and some people might actually prefer it that way, but to me it feels too big and inconvenient to be a true handheld gaming device. I could be wrong, but that's just my take. Now technically the iPad Air should have a better performance just based on the M2 chip with more CPU and GPU cores, but let's be honest guys, in a real world use I don't notice any difference. Playing the same games on both devices gives me the exact same experience, no lag, smooth gameplay, and great graphics. The Apple Silicon chips are just super efficient, so the visuals look identical whether you are on the mini or the Air. And even if you were to get the latest versions, the performance difference is basically just marketing. The experience stays the same. The point I'm trying to make is that performance should be the least of your worries when choosing between these two tablets. The same can be said when working on productivity apps like Notion, Microsoft Office, or Google Workspace. Launching apps on both devices is very quick and runs smoothly when working for hours. But the iPad Air takes the lead for multitasking thanks to its bigger display. I find myself splitting the screen to utilize good notes while I read from PDF files at the same time. As a student, this has made note-taking and studying very efficient all in one device. So I am able to stay focused and get things done in time, from browsing the web to navigating between apps or organizing my work. The workflow just feels smooth. The same can technically be done on the iPad mini, but again, it's not practical. I find myself using one app at a time whenever I pick up the iPad mini. Yes, I can navigate between apps once in a while, but for the most part, it gets overwhelming whenever I'm multitasking, then I just end up on my laptop. But when I'm working on one specific task, like for example filming my videos, it's the device I use to monitor my script on Notion or organize all my tasks for the day. The camera on both of these are exactly the same, so I won't get too deep into that here. You can check my full review of each one if you want more details. The same goes for the speakers. Technically the iPad Air should sound a bit better, but honestly they both sound great. Plus I mostly use headphones anyways, so the speaker quality isn't really a deciding factor for me. Now I think the battery life is one of the most important things about these devices, and honestly it's not something I worry about because both of them hold up really well. That said, I do feel like the iPad Air edges out the iPad mini just a bit. It's my main note-taking device for school, and I use it for about 2 to 3 hours a day, 4 days a week. So if I'm being accurate, I usually charge it about twice or 3 times a week. Alright guys, so while I was just filming the battery part of this video, I just noticed the M2 iPad Air has the battery health and the iPad mini doesn't have it. I don't know why. It has the feature right here, as you guys could see. Boom, it tells you like the battery health. But on the iPad mini, it doesn't have the feature. It doesn't show you. I don't know if I'm tweaking or what. This is the iPad mini 6 and this is the M2 iPad Air. I feel like it should show it just like it shows on the iPhone and stuff like that. But as you guys can see, the maximum capacity is still at 100 and the cycle count is 58, but I can't see the same information over here for some damn reason. I don't know why. But overall, I'm just gonna give you guys an arrow for the battery life. I feel like the M2 iPad Air has a better battery life compared to the iPad mini. I'm not saying the iPad mini is bad. It actually works fine. You know what I'm saying? Like I could get like around 4 to 5 hours of screen on time. As you guys could see right here, I have about an hour of screen on time. Okay, that's the last 10 days. Boom, 2 hours of screen on time, and it's at 40%. And keep in mind, because I'm filming this video, I've been doing like extra stuff like gaming and stuff like that. So if I was just using it for like basic stuff, it's gonna last longer. But this one has about an hour of screen on time in the last 24 hours and is at 51%. So something like 3 to 4 hours. But I played more game on this, as you guys could see, 29%. I played more video game on this because it was kind of hard to like test the gaming on this, so I had to like do more. But yeah, basically if you get any of these, the battery is not going to be something that I think you're going to be worried about. For the most part, they are going to last you as an average usage of an iPad, so whichever you pick, you'll be fine. Okay, so I was gonna do another b-roll for this, but I guess I'm just gonna talk to you guys. You know what I'm saying? So the M2 iPad Air actually has a faster charging. What that basically means is, in my opinion, there are days whereby, you know, I'm going to school and the battery is low. I jump in the shower, charge it while I'm in the shower, and then I come back and it's gonna be full. But the iPad mini, it's still good, but it's not as fast as the iPad Air. I'm guessing because it's a better iPad. I don't know. But yeah. But for me personally, that's actually not something I care about too much, just because like it's an iPad. It's not like my phone where I use it every time, or my MacBook where I'm always working on it. It's one of those devices that I just use like once in a while for like a specific task. So I really don't care about how fast it charges, and I would advise, if you guys are choosing between these two, the fast charging shouldn't be a factor to make you decide, you know what I'm saying, if that makes sense, except if that's going to be your primary device. But if it's just something that you have on the side, maybe you already have a MacBook or your phone, you just want your iPad for like a specific task, I feel like you're just gonna charge it like once in every 3 days. You're not gonna need that fast charging all the time. So honestly, whichever one you pick, you should be for other factors other than fast charging. So yeah. So my overall experience with both iPad has been based on use case and has nothing to do with the performance. For example, I am a student who does lots of note taking, work with digital handouts, and surf the web for information. The iPad Air seems to be the perfect device for these tasks while keeping my work organized. I am also a minimal person who likes to do things one at a time, like just reading, signing documents, managing my tasks on Notion, or casually consuming media. These are use cases that the iPad mini is great for. To keep it simple, if I wasn't going to school, I would most likely never touch the iPad Air because I would rather just work on my laptop if I need a bigger display. The iPad mini and the iPad Air are both great devices with solid performance. They just have different ways in which they impact my workflow, so it all depends on what kind of work you are doing.